Hello everybody, welcome back to Blast Away the Game Review. I am your host, Dustin Murphy, and today we are going to be talking about the Warframe Atlas. To understand Atlas, we're going to be discussing all of his abilities. We will not be discussing mod cards, we will not be discussing what order to put your mod cards on. Instead, we are just going to be taking a basic look on how his abilities work and how he plays. First up is his ability, Landslide. Landslide allows Atlas to bash enemies with an explosive sliding punch and repeat for a devastating combo. Petrified enemies take extra damage and drop rubble when destroyed. Rubble can heal Atlas and bolster his armor. His second ability, Tectonics, summon a rock wall. Activated again to send the rocks crashing toward the enemy. Petrify. Atlas's hardened gaze will fossilize foes, heal rumblers, and create petrified bulwarks. When shattered, petrified enemies drop healing rubble for Atlas. Rumblers. Summon 2 elemental stone brawlers to the melee. Summoning petrifies enemies in closing proximity to Atlas. When finished, rumblers collapse into a pile of healing rubble. Meaning, Atlas has tons of capabilities, especially when in close range combat, so consider using all his abilities to their maximum effect. He does not have to worry about knockdown due to his passive, which makes him an absolute monster. However, that is only capable when he is on the ground. Atlas can be knocked over when in air. Now, Atlas does have several abilities that do work together thanks to the way Petrify works, which we will be discussing later on within the tutorial itself, mostly because the way Petrify works is it can heal his rumblers, it can cause his landslide to do more damage and drop rubble. So it's worthwhile noting that Atlas is a little different than most other Warframes out there. He has a lot more synergy behind what he can do. He is extremely powerful when used properly. So to begin, I did choose some close range weapons which help show off what Atlas is capable of. As you can see here, Landslide is perfect for getting in close and smashing into as many foes as you can. Now, the trick to his ability is to ensure that you can hit as many foes as possible as quickly as possible. So if you're in a low level mission like this, don't expect to get multiple chains off. It's not going to work, and unfortunately you're going to end up just wasting energy at that point. Now, to ensure that you are getting the maximum effect of Landslide if you're fighting enemies like the Infested, make sure you are targeting Ancient Healers first. So Landslide is one of those abilities. Again, the more damage you can do, the better you can do. The better combos you can get off, the better it's going to be. So next we're going to talk about Tectonics, which is that deal where I talked about him being able to summon this giant wall before him, which can be activated again to be sent forward and smashing into his foes. So rock wall, or Tectonics, I call it rock wall personally because again it is a giant rock wall. Tectonics is a unique ability, especially since it has a lot of defensive traits to it. You can set up defenses against your foes. You can give yourself somewhere to hide temporarily while you heal back up. It also gives you a way to, if you just need to clear out an area before you, to smash into it, send your foes reeling, and get the hell out of dodge. So to start it off on the map, I'm going to go ahead and pop a rock wall right here. I'm going to hit the Tectonic again, make it send out that boulder. As you can see, it is not something that is going to just curve and go right at your foes. The bulwark itself is going to unfortunately only hit the direction you send it in. But the nice thing about it is it does penetrate all foes before you. So if there's a line of Infested, just send it out. If there's a line of Corpus, send it out. If there's a line of Grineer, send it out. It's going to be devastating regardless of the enemy type. But do note that Atlas does benefit from his ability power. So this does make his defensive and ability power capabilities quite astounding and makes him, quite honestly, one of the most worthwhile Warframes that doesn't just get a lot of use. So next up is his ability Petrify. Petrify allows, again, Atlas to harden his gaze and fossilize his foes, heal his revelers, and create petrified bulwarks. When shattered, petrified enemies drop healing rubble for Atlas. Now, this is extremely important to how Atlas plays. This is mostly due to the fact this rubble that we're talking about ups Atlas's armor. He can have over 1500 armor if modded correctly. So if you mod him for armor, toss in the rubble, he is going to be a walking tank that is pretty much going to be extremely hard for your foes to deal with. So it is worth noting this is a great capability. It is a awesome thing to have in your back pocket. So remember, I'm not going to tell you how to mod your Warframe. This is completely for you to figure out. If you want a mod gut, I can gladly do one on a later date. The best thing here is the Atlas's ability, Petrify, is conal. So it is directly in front of him. If enemies are within that radius of his Petrify, they're instantly fossilized. So you can easily do some crowd control, send your teammates in, and let them clear out the ones that you can't get. But again, the synergy on this ability is extremely, extremely important. So you want to remember to use it in combo with, say, Landslide or Rumblers, because it does allow everything to become more powerful and better utilized. So take that into consideration when you are playing him. The only downside is he uses a ton of energy. So energy management will be a problem with him. He will be best used when you know how to manage your energy, take your time, and just not shoot out your abilities constantly. Last but not least is his final ability, his quote-unquote ultimate ability, which is Rumblers, where he summons 2 rock elementals to join the fight. These 2 enemies that the foes will have to face down, so the Grineer Corpus, whatnot, as I keep calling them foes, will get petrified when they are in range of Atlas. So if they are next to Atlas, you summon your Rumblers, they're instantly petrified, which makes it so you can use the Landslide or Petrify again, just to ensure that they're not going to get away. Personally, I use Landslide, I get the rubble. Now, the interesting thing about these 2 Rumblers is they stick around for quite a while. They stick around for almost a minute and 10 seconds for me due to how I have Atlas modded. But again, personal preference on how to mod the Warframe himself, since I did make him more of a caster meets tank. So his ability power is high, his defenses are extremely high, his health is moderate. So take that into consideration again when deciding to play Atlas. Now, unlocking Atlas is a bit of a harder thing, but we'll talk about that in a different guide at a different time. The most important thing you can see here is his Rumblers do go out and randomly attack. They do not have a set attack path. They do not stay right next to Atlas. They do wander around the current room you're in. So if you're in a huge room, they wander around quite a bit. But now I want to talk about something a little bit more important, which is Atlas's ability to actually cohesively use all his abilities together. Again, I talked about synergy between Petrify, Rumblers, and Landslide, and we have to remember Landslide, Petrify, and Rumblers all synergize, meaning rubble. Loss of rubble, which means your health is constantly staying up. Your armor is constantly being buffed, which is really nice, especially again in high level missions where you're going to be taking on a lot of threats. So consider that when you are playing Atlas. You'll need to remember to constantly hit Landslide. You're going to constantly need to hit Petrify, Rumblers. Use Petrify to make his other abilities benefit from Petrify. That is so important. I can't stress enough. Petrify, Petrify, Petrify. It is extremely important. It is one of his primary abilities. It is an ability you are going to want to use at all times when you're able to. So just keep that in mind when using him. But the best thing you can do for Atlas all around, as I said, synergize his abilities, constantly use them. Ensure that you're using Atlas to his utmost potential. If you can use it, Atlas is a devastating Warframe, and he's probably one of my personal favorite Warframes that is on the roster. But I'm going to stop here, let you all see some gameplay of his abilities synergizing to one another, and we will be back next week with some more guides. I do apologize about the delay between them all, and I hope you all have a wonderful weekend between now and then.